So as many of you guys have heard, the LeRoy and Lewis food truck is officially closed. And as cool as your new restaurant is, I definitely have a lot of fond memories of working on the food truck back in the day and, going there a bunch and trying to find inspiration and meeting a bunch of new friends, and a lot of that was done at the food truck. I was planning on going down to Texas just on a whim and just being there on the last day of service, but I couldn't make it work. But I definitely still wanted to carve out some time to talk to Evan just about, why I decided to do so. As iconic as that food truck is, and to kind of close it was a little bit of a surprise to me. Kind of wanted to do a little sit down and have a conversation about, again, maybe for some of you guys who are considering doing a food truck and things like that, maybe other things to consider. But now that the food truck is closed, I wanted to focus on some of the new stuff that they're doing at the restaurant now. So I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Evan LeRoy as we talk about the food truck closing and also what's coming up next. I wanted to bring you on just because I think the news of you guys closing the truck was kind of like shocking even to me. It was kind of funny because once that article came out, a bunch of people sent it to me and they're like, "Did you know?" I'm like, "No, what?" And then it especially happened during Windy City. So once that kind of came out, we're all like, "What's going on?" It's like, oh, I need to ask Evan and see what's going on. There's definitely reasons why you and Sawyer and everyone else kind of decided to make this change.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on here. A group of people in this business, and our team is just constantly focused on moving forward. The next season, we're always getting ready for the next season. Right now it's summer, we're getting ready for fall. I've said this a lot. Every restaurant has a birth, a life, and a death. And I think food trucks are usually they just have a shorter lifespan. They're a lot harder to operate, and they don't make as much money. We could only serve a certain amount of people at the food truck. We can only expect to make, on our busiest, craziest day there, we're only talking $6,000-$7,000 a day. And that is for a ton of food, a couple days worth of prep to get all that stuff there. Probably 4 staff members there. It's hard to set all that stuff up. We have to transfer all that stuff. We can only serve one person at a time, so the amount of people that we can serve, is a lot shorter there at the food truck. So we're talking about a lot more work for a lot less money, and it just doesn't make sense to do it anymore. I was the biggest proponent of keeping the truck open. I wanted to keep it open, but we have responsibilities to the rest of our staff now, to our investors, to the bank now. So everything at the restaurant's going really well, and that's really where all of our focus is. We're almost like a little caterpillar that had to spread our wings and become a butterfly. And here's the thing. I was at Cosmic the other day on the last day. And then Patrick was like, yeah, we were kind of going back and forth. We're taking bets. He's like, Paul said it'd be done in Heat Week. I said it'd be done after 1 year. And I was just like, why did anybody tell me that this was a good idea to keep it open? We made it work for as long as we could make it work. And I'm very, very thankful to everybody who's come to the truck for years and years, everybody who's cooked on that trailer with us, everybody who's been a part of the team, everybody who's helped us out at Cosmic, everybody who stood in the sun, waiting for barbecue, waiting for a bacon rib. But now we can do so much more.
When I was thinking about it when you guys were closing, and I was kind of having this reminiscent moment of LeRoy and Lewis as the food truck, the first one. When I think about things like Heat Week, or I think about certain menu items that you guys place on the menu, I almost feel like it was out of necessity because you're out at a food truck to bring people in, that lure people to understand what this food truck is, why you guys are doing Heat Week. And specifically, again, your whole thing is we're choosing the hottest week in the summer to serve you the hottest food so that you guys come and check out this food truck that we're serving this amazing food. But that identity now exists in LeRoy and Lewis, but now it's in the comfort of, well, now we have the space to do it, we have the people to do it, and it doesn't have to be such an arduous process to create these new menu items or these new concepts. You guys only been open for a couple months, but you've already kind of brought some of that stuff over and already included new things into the menu. I was like, oh man, I wonder if LeRoy and Lewis is kind of, not stay stagnant, but I wonder if it's going to be a little bit slower until the next new thing happens for them. But it hasn't. It's almost like You guys have been like waiting to play all your cards, and now it's like, now that we're officially open, it's like boom, 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 boom. Kind of fun to watch and see what you guys are coming up with next.
You're right, and the fact that a lot of that stuff was born from just trying to get people in the door, just trying to get people at Cosmic, specifically Heat Week. But it was funny. I was at the truck the other day, on the last day, and Clayton was like searing off the burgers. There was something, I don't know if it was just the weird nostalgia getting to me, but the burgers coming out of the truck on Sunday looked like the best burger I've ever seen. Just like the best L&L burger. I was like, why do they look this good at the restaurant? The burgers are still really good at the restaurant. Let me say that. I don't know, for some reason that like specific one that like he put up, I was just like, dang.
Well, I don't know if you think about this, but I've thought about it when we were on the truck, and like, I was firing off like 8 burgers on that plancha inside that firebox. These 8 burgers have to be perfect. We don't know who the 8 are going to be. And again, this is before the burger became as giant and as popular as it is now. If I am touching this burger, it better be the best burger I possibly can make. And not to say that we don't think about that now, but it's like now we're doing 15 burgers every 20 minutes instead of, in a lunch service, or sometimes an entire day if the weather's not that great outside. I've mentioned this to you, and I tell this a lot of people, all the different places that I've worked at so far, like there seemed to be like a theme. For me, Terry Black's was getting my practice in and getting like knowing how to do volume. When I went to Truth, it's like with volume, how to make sure everything is really, really, really good. LeRoy and Lewis, I don't know how to categorize it other than the fact that it is probably the hardest job that I had just because it's so different. Like there's one day that I'm in the commissary, and then the very next morning I have to be at the commissary at 5 a.m. to get stuff ready, trying to pack my small car full of things and bring it over and set it up into the truck. I think the idea of a food truck is really dreamy, and it's cool, and it's like, that people who can manage a food truck, they're legit, but it's not ideal either. One of my favorite movies is Chef, and like the whole concept of going from a chef going to a food truck. And I always find that it's really funny at the very end of the movie, without really saying anything. It's just like, now they're in a restaurant and the food truck is just outside as like a symbol of what it is, right? And so like, to me, it's like, yeah, like food trucks are really hard. I think we all love the concept of it, but in order for us to maintain that food and continue to grow, you need the space and the tools to do so.
Yeah, dude, just nobody. I think the restaurant was just too close. If people wanted to come get LeRoy and Lewis food, they could come inside, which is weird. I saw this stuff on Reddit. These people were like, LeRoy and Lewis are going to lose that Cosmic setting. Nobody's going to want to go to the restaurant. It's like, what are you talking about? It's 100 degrees outside. The birds are eating your food. It's insane. Like, the restaurant's so beautiful, so nice, so comfortable. There's a couch, for God's sake.
Every other night when, Matt, James, and I were staying at the Chud shop, and we're like, when the truck opens, what should the concept be now that we have this? Trying to find the balance between the two things were so difficult. And like you said, like, the location of the truck and the restaurant were so close to each other. There's almost like no reason to, other than the fact that, like, you know what, you really wanted to go to Cosmic and you really wanted LeRoy and Lewis, and that's why you decide that.
Yeah, I thought that there would just be enough traffic at Cosmic for people to be like, oh, I'll just get a chopped beef sandwich, or oh, I'll just get a pulled pork sandwich, oh, I'll just get a burger.
Right.
That was the idea. It was like a satellite location, stuff that's easily executable. But then we also had to like bulk cook some items over there. If we started thinking about that, then it's like the bare bones we can run it. Realize that we can't do that because like the shifts would be too long. The work is too hard. It's like the work is too much to make, like, to capture that tiny amount of people who want that chopped beef sandwich or that burger.
The other big thing that you guys have implemented, and you were talking about doing steak nights, and that's been really cool to see. We had talked about this for years, I think, literally right in that living room that you're sitting in right now. Those 2.5 weeks that I spent with you, we were talking about doing steak nights. Right now, you already announced that working on your cookbook. We talk about those two things, and they're both happening right now, and that's really cool to see. Can you talk a little bit more about the steak night?
So if you think about the lore of old school barbecue restaurants, they used to be like groceries and meat markets, and they would bring in quarters of beef or a hanging carcass and break it down for what they need, sell people raw meat to go home and cook. and then the rest of it they would smoke. And so we're trying to not be a meat market, take inspiration from that, still bring in quarters of beef, but use them in all different culinary ways and then sell them on the menu. We get everything from burger grind and sausage to skirt kind of steak cuts. We take the picanha off. We use the bones to make demi-glace, grind all the fat into tallow. The economics of beef are such that all the most valuable things are in the middle. You're talking about your ribeye steaks, your porterhouses, your tenderloins, and then the bulk of the animal is in the shoulder and in the back leg. And so a lot of the times that stuff gets ground and is sold at a lower price, and that's what we're trying to replicate on a micro scale. We take off the big rib loin, rib rack, and the short loin, which houses the strip and the tenderloin, aka the porterhouse, and we age those in the cooler. Hanging carcass of beef, get over rigor, do kind of like the early stages of dry aging, which are evaporating a little bit of moisture within the meat, concentrating beefy flavor, allowing enzymatic breakdown. So we're doing all that in-house at LeRoy and Lewis. And we had to find a rancher who was able to get us pieces of a carcass, because we can't take a whole carcass at one time. We don't have enough space. But so the first week of the month, we're receiving a hind quarter, second week hind quarter, third week fore quarter, fourth week fore quarter. So we get one cow a month. We're breaking those down each week and then using all that stuff during that week, except for the steaks. We age that loin, and then when it's aged up to 28 or 35 days, we'll cut it into big steaks, big 3 to 6 pound steaks. And there's a growing list of people who sign up for a steak night with however many people that they want. And then Sawyer will say, hey, do you want a ribeye or a porterhouse or a T-bone? Or these are the ones that we have that were big enough to feed your group. We started cutting these steaks and they were so beautiful that they deserved more than just the barbecue line. Like they deserved a service experience. Like you really don't want to be eating this off of butcher paper with a flimsy cup of water. You want like a nice sit down experience with a server, maybe a bottle of wine. They get appetizers. You can order anything from the menu, pre-order anything from the menu that we have that day. So you can come in on a Saturday for a steak and pre-order a bacon rib or brisket or whatever else. And then we take them out to the pits and tell them the story of the cows. Joel, the rancher the other day, just told me this latest cow's name was Dizzy. So that's something I'm going to add into the pit tours, is the name of the cow. As far as cooking the steak goes, before we put on the smoker, we dump it in Dalmatian. So it's got a dry brine, it's got a Dalmatian dunk, and then it is smoked up to rare. And then we let it rest, and we kind of like let it rest on this tray. I take it inside, the wood fire grill is already going. We just barely, sear it just to give it a little char. We slice it for them, a little bit more flaky salt, some fresh herbs. We throw the chimichurri and some miso, mustard, garlic butter on there, and then a bunch of other garnishes. They usually get onion rings with it, a salad, some other stuff. They're about $60 a pound. I think we're going to start adding some picanhas on there for a boneless one that is less expensive. That's our steak night. It's been so good. It's so successful. We love doing it. I love like getting that real service interaction with people. The barbecue cooks love smoking them. I love cutting them. I'm getting better at cutting them. The kitchen guys love grilling them and serving them and plating them up. Like the servers love like actually plating them. And then the guests love it more than anybody else. And that's just, it works for everybody. We're making good money off of them. It's just like all around, there's nothing negative about it.
People like you and I, or people who are working at LeRoy and Lewis right now, like I think there's like a want to do more in terms of like the service aspect or the type of food that we're doing, like in terms of like even plating it, right? I think the plating at LeRoy and Lewis or other places like that, I know Truth, like plating was a big thing for us as well, and we just want to give people this fine dining experience, but within the comfort of a barbecue restaurant. Yeah. But then with that comes like this weird, I don't know, some people might think it's too posh. We're always trying to find this like fine line of how to mesh those two things within a barbecue tray. And I think it's like really fun to see you guys like, well, we're just not even going to put it on a barbecue tray. We'll do it this way because we can. Michelin is coming to Texas now. I feel like it opens up doors for like a weird conversation for, hey, like some of the best barbecue in the world that everyone travels the world for? Like, I wonder if there's any place that we know of or buddies that we know of that will be considered to be like for a Michelin star. Like I just thought about the other day. I'm like, what an interesting concept, you know?
My co-author Paula Forbes for the cookbook, she had a really good article in Food and Wine, which was like, I don't necessarily know if Texas like needs, the Michelin guide. It's so different, like just the vibe in Texas is, I don't know, just generally. Maybe I'm just speaking about Austin, but it's just much more casual and laid back, and that's kind of like not traditionally what the Michelin guide is. I would not be surprised it would get like an award. Honestly, I think like Franklin Barbecue has the best like chance. So like, I mean, it's going to be probably that kind of same thing, which is great. I mean, they're historically incredible and certainly deserving of one.
But you're talking about just in terms of barbecue as a cooking technique, and if we're talking about that and you're talking about how good can you make it, then in that conversation, I feel like there should be, without a doubt, places that should have it. But again, I don't want any barbecue restaurant to feel like they have to be anything that they haven't been up to this point, and they feel like they have to do more just because.
Yeah, a lot of chefs have been saying that other people will just start cooking for the guide, which will kind of make it less unique and less Texas and more just like homogenous with the overall fine dining like scape. So yeah, we'll see. We're gonna keep we're just gonna keep doing our own thing, man.
Please do. Yeah, I would be very upset if you guys started to change things. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation that I had with Evan. But as you guys can see, as cool as a concept of a barbecue food truck or food truck in general is, man, it's a lot of work. And I think especially with barbecue, where there's just so much to set up. Not to say that other types of food aren't the same way, but I think that, like I said, without a doubt, definitely the hardest barbecue job that I've had. And to want to continue this food truck while having this restaurant that you have to take care of, and he was talking about like investors and making sure everyone gets the fair amount of pay and work and all that kind of stuff. A lot of things to consider. And so I think, I think in the big scheme of things, it is the right thing to do. I think it just allows them kind of hone in and focus a little bit more on what they want to do for the restaurant as they continue to grow, as they continue to do new things, as they try to make the experience for their customer a little bit better, and to make the food a little more consistent, to make sure that everyone can be at one place so that the consistency of the food and the service can also kind of fall in line as well, instead of having to split everyone into two different places. But lastly, I just want to thank Evan for carving out some time to have this conversation, and just want to give a shout out to everyone at LeRoy and Lewis, and I'll see you guys soon. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you guys did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.